The key elements of a parenting plan are parenting time and parenting rights and responsibilities. Parenting time would be the amount of time that you get to spend with your child and that your child gets to spend with their other parent on a regular basis or on a holiday basis or vacation basis, on school breaks and in summertime, and drilling down into those, and especially the exchanges, how exactly those are going to take place and when those are going to take place are very, very important. When you don't take care of those details to the level that they need to be, you'll end up back in your attorney's office with modifications and enforcements. So it's super important to get detailed. Your parenting plan is a contract. So contract drafting, it's a boring lawyer thing that we do, but really having a skilled contract drafter involved, someone with a lot of experience and who has dealt with a lot of modifications or enforcements, is important when drafting that key piece. The other part is the parenting rights and responsibilities. And that usually includes not just decision making, like the day-to-day. What is a day-to-day decision? What's a major decision? Who gets to make those? But it's also access to information. Who gets access to medical information, school information? Who has the responsibility to provide that? And then, of course, support, child support, and even, school supplies, who's paying for extracurricular activities, who gets to take the tax deduction. All of those things are covered in a parenting plan. There are as many different schedules as there are families. We can get very creative to meet the needs of a family, but what really needs to stay at the forefront of your mind is like, what's going to be best for the kids involved? Too often we find parents saying things like, I want my time, or that's not fair to me. And quite frankly, who cares? You're a grown-up. You can deal with it. What we really need to be thinking is what the child needs in this situation. One really interesting thing that we're discussing in Tennessee right now is this idea of co-parenting. Should we go to strict 50-50 for all kids? My question would be, is that best for your kids? In many cases, it's going to be yes, but it isn't always yes. And so having, a legislature say kids should have 50-50, I think can be very problematic. The other thing is we have to remember, like when we're causing kids to have to shift from one home to another, it's a disruption to their life. Think about this. What if your kids lived in a home and you were required to pack up and go somewhere else half a week or every other week? What kind of impact would that have on your life, your friends, your ability to just function in the world? And so I think the more you think about what's going on with my kids? How is this parenting plan going to affect my kids? Get out of your own head about yourself. I get it. You're upset with your spouse. They may actually be the problem and the reason, but your kids didn't cause it, and you're the only one that can mitigate the damage to them. It's especially important for kids to make sure that they are able to have family traditions that are theirs, even though their parents split up, couldn't get along, just couldn't, make it work. And that happens. But when dividing the holidays, what I see too many times is, I get them for Christmas this year and you'll get them for Christmas next year. Why not consider, maybe the child should be able to count on where they're going to be Christmas morning every year, and you can plan around that. One of my sons, who is an adult, got married this year, and we're trying to figure out as a family, for the time being, when he doesn't have kids, when they're going to come and spend time with our family, we're bucking for Thanksgiving, and when they're going to spend time with his wife's family, maybe Christmas. To give that consistency, there are lots of schedules that have to be coordinated to be able to spend time, especially extended family, to spend time with children from broken homes. And that's exactly what a divorce home is for a kid. And you need to think about this when formulating these plans for your children's breaks and holidays. If you have a plan in place that just isn't working, or, you find that you have a different interpretation, what you'll need to do is, first off, try to work it out, okay? Grown-ups have disagreements. We got to be grown-ups. We got to work stuff out. We have to do it at work. We have to do it in our neighborhood. And it's no different just because you're no longer married to the other parent of your children. Got to try to work it out. Can't work it out on your own. I generally suggest to go into mediation, have a neutral try to help you work it out. And if all else fails, go back to your attorney and file a motion, have the court make adjustments, even though, yes, that does take time. It does have costs. But if you're really moving forward to fix a plan for your kids, it's going to be worth every penny. Whether or not a detailed plan or a flexible plan is going to be best for your children is going to depend on your circumstances and your relationship with your ex. For instance, I had a client who was an airline pilot whose schedule changed constantly. Having a set schedule in terms of parenting time was really not possible. And these parents were able to work it out, where the dad would have time when he was available. There was some wear and tear on the kids. I think nesting, would have been better for the kids because dad was around sometimes and not other times. But having as much consistency for kids is usually ideal. But it's better for kids to get to have time with both of their parents, as much time as safe and appropriate, than to end up with one having to be an absentee because of something like a work schedule. Parenting plans are your guiding documents. It's your operating agreement, so to speak, for your children after a breakup or divorce. They're a critical document. And I would say most people can come up with an agreement on the high level. Hey, we're going to split 50-50, and that's where it stops. There are so many things in addition to that that really should be considered. And I would suggest to you that the bulk of your time and consideration in going through your divorce, I know money's important, I know stuff is important, but most of your time and attention needs to go into having a parenting plan that really takes care of your kids.